I first met Jerry Robinson, I was around 5 years old. My mother and Natalie were friends, so even though we were much younger than Jerry, Norman, and Dayla, my brother Frank, sister Jessie, and I ended up spending a lot of time at the Robinson house out west of Sweetwater. Jerry's birthday and mine are only a few days apart in late July, and I remember celebrating our birthdays together out at that house the year I turned 8 and Jerry 19. We really didn't have much in common at that point in time, but I thought it was a big deal. As I got older, I looked up to him. He drove a big four-wheel drive truck, wore lace-up boots, smoked Marlboro red cigarettes, and carried a gun. I always felt like when I was riding with him, I was riding with an outlaw. That feeling never completely went away. One of the funniest memories I had with Jerry was one morning when we went to town in the original big loud four-wheel drive truck, a 76 Model F-250 named Brownie. We had to stop there in Sweetwater to get something to make breakfast, and on our way back to the house, a little mouse ran out from under the seat across the yellow shag carpet that's still in that pickup. Jerry commenced to hollering and took off the welding hat he was wearing and started trying to kill the mouse with it while we went barreling down the highway. He ended up whipping off into the ditch where we slid to a stop, flung the doors open, and all but removed the seat of that truck before we finally flushed that mouse out. Then we proceeded home. That's the story of how I came to realize exactly how Jerry felt about mice. I have never in my life had to wonder how Jerry felt about any particular subject. If I asked him for his opinion on something, he never left any room for doubt. He was blunt and to the point. Some people may have found that to be difficult to handle, but not me. I think that's what made him authentic. Jerry had a way with words, from his use of colorful language to his catchphrases, some of which I will never forget, or let my siblings forget while I'm doing my best Jerry impression. Jerry would say things like, "What did he know?" Or "Suits me," or one of my all-time favorites, "I would rather push that off into the canyon than sell it for that much." Which brings me to another great thing that I shared with Jerry. He had a soft spot for old junk, and he liked to trade. At certain times, Jerry and I traded so much stuff back and forth that my place started to look more like his and his like mine. I don't recall money ever being exchanged. It was sort of a game with him. If he knew I wanted something he had, he would find something that I had that he knew good and well I wasn't willing to part with. And he would tell me that that was the only trade he'd be willing to make. Later on down the road, he'd call and tell me to come get that flatbed or whatever it was that I had my eye on before it got hauled off for scrap. We worked together for quite some time building corrals and chutes out southwest of Wheeler and a few other small jobs around here and there. It was one of the most enjoyable times I ever had working. Jerry was particular about his work, and everything we worked on was something to be proud of when we finished it. The things Jerry built will still be around for many years to come. About 10 years ago, I was in Leedy Lumber and I noticed a little miniature anvil in a display case with the pocket knives. It was maybe 3 inches tall and one of the cutest things I'd ever seen. I had to buy it. Of course, I showed it to Jerry right away, and he thought it was just as neat as I did. Long story short, it quickly became Jerry's anvil. He put it in his vest pocket, and we went on about our day. I didn't think much about it after that until probably 3 months later. We were together and ran into someone Jerry knew, and we were visiting, and Jerry pulls that anvil out of his pocket to show it to that guy. And I realized that he had carried that thing in his pocket to show people from the day he got it from him for months. We joked that it was probably the most expensive anvil there ever was if you figured it in dollars per pound. It was definitely money well spent seeing how much enjoyment Jerry got out of it. In closing, Everything I've shared today has just been a small part of who Jerry was to me. From honey pigs to narrowly escaping a raging campground inferno while on a four-wheeling trip outside of Amarillo. I could tell stories about Jerry Robinson all day. I know I'm going to miss Jerry from now on, but I know that I will see him again someday when it's my time to go and be with the Lord. Until then, I'll just have to tell my children's stories every now and then about their Uncle Jerry.